And a very good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Your Box Seat, brought to you in association with Sweet Lou, standing at Woodlands. Michael Guerin, it's been a month, but there's been a fair bit happen.
Gregory, hello. Big hi to everybody. I hope your air conditioning unit has been working, because, God, it's been hot. And, Gregory, what have you done? Because somebody must have done something wrong. We did our last show on January the 3rd, and at that stage, Lazarus was good, and Ultimate Machete was good, and everything was happy with Vincent, and Titan Banner was good, and it's all just gone that way.
Michael, how can this be me?
I've got to blame somebody, Gregory. We need to get to the bottom of this. We have so many different stories to tell tonight and a whole bunch of stuff to get into. So what else do we have?
Well, we'll get through Kiwis and Oz. That's where we'll have a decent look through that. Okay. You'll be able to update us, particularly in terms of the All-Stars team.
I spoke to Mr. Lazarus this morning, not the horse, to the man.
All right. Hunter Cup, obviously, huge night on Saturday night, and a deep field. I mean, you consider the inside three barrier draws, I've earned $6 million, and draw one the second row is Lenny the Shark, so collectively almost $10 million in earning between just those four. Yeah,
that's Saturday night, and then we roll into Miracle Mile time. So I think the summer's cool, Greg, from the point of view that the grass track racing here involves a lot of people, and some people who may not get wins at Addington get some wins at it, and it's got a nice vibe to it. But you get the feeling Saturday sort of back to business, and there's so many other things that have happened, so we better start telling some stories and see if we can find some story resolutions out of some of these.
Talking of the grass track, 6 wins for John Dunham. We've got some great stats out of Harness Racing New Zealand in terms of...
Some of these stats you'll see tonight are unbelievable.
Blow you away.
There's 2 stats in there which I just shook my head. I said, well, that can't be true. Rang Harness Racing New Zealand back and they confirmed them. Thank you to the team there, and they've got a guy who does some stats for them in behind the scenes. It's amazing, Greg. These 5 win stats, if I said to you how many drivers have had 5 in a day in New Zealand, I would have thought 10. You'll be stunned by some of the names you don't remember.
Yeah, Peter Craig's that guy's name. He does a great job. Shimon retirement, we'll have a look into that. And, of course, it's sales time. Only a fortnight away on Monday till we'll be at Karaka.
Yep. It's going to be an awfully busy month, is it? But so much has happened beforehand. And, look, I suppose you've got to start at the top, and the top is Lazarus. And when we last saw you January 3rd, Lazarus was all tickety-boo. And this was the Fremantle Cup where he was 3 wide for the entire race. And even, I reckon I've watched this 6 times, Gregory. I'm still stunned by this.
Have a look at the way he savages the line here. It, quite clearly for me, is the greatest performance I've seen in my life by a horse that hasn't won. He just kept going. My Hard Copy, incidentally, became a millionaire by winning that race, and his story away from the Lazarus run is quite a remarkable one too. The Hall Camp getting him back to the races, let alone winning. But Lazarus's run there, well, as we found out subsequent to that, he did have pretty sore feet, and that's probably hardly surprising.
Yeah, first of all, the winner won, and well done to him, because it's not his fault Lazarus was stuck 3 wide. Fantastic story, he lost form, came back again. Little horse, sold out of the Ray Green camp. We have some information coming up about that camp later on. But you're right, Lazarus was everything there. That's as good as they go. I can't remember too many who went better. You could make the case that his New Zealand Cup win was at least as good, because he won by 30 metres, but he might have covered 50 metres more there than the horses up against the marker pegs. Remarkable performance. Then what happened 2 days later, Mark Purdon came out and said the horse has concussion in the hooves. Said it wasn't because of that run being stuck 3 wide. He was immensely proud of the horse, but just the hard track at Gloucester Park, and the same thing affected Ultimate Machete, who ran 4th in that race. Both those horses missed the WA Cup. Lazarus has bounced all the way back, so he's in the Hunter Cup this week, drawn barrier 3. We'll talk about that a bit more later on. But Greg, that's good, because you can't afford to lose a horse like him. He's the closest thing we've got to a Winx, and these races would have felt hollow without him, because you would have said, if he wasn't in the Hunter Cup, whoever wins the Hunter Cup, well, he wouldn't have beaten Lazarus. An amazing performance. Mark initially feared that the horse wouldn't be ready for the Hunter Cup / Miracle Mile. 4 or 5 days later, bounced back. Spoke to Mark this morning. He said, I've been working the horse like it never happened. Last 2 weeks have been good. Been working him with Heaven Rocks, who he meets in the Hunter Cup. I said, is there any reason for our viewers, I told him we're coming on the show this morning, tonight, sorry, and he said, any reason our viewers shouldn't back him like he's in Inter-Dominion form? He said, no. He said, treat him like he's in Inter-Dominion form. That's how he feels to me. So he'd be around about $1.40, I would suggest, for this race from barrier 3. Very similar barrier draw to the Inter-Dominion. Tiger Tara 1, him 3, and a good horse on the back of Tiger Tara, potentially in that trailing position.
All right, we'll talk more about that Hunter Cup very shortly. Included in it will be this horse, the big horse, Heaven Rocks. And of course, he made his way to the Ballarat Cup. That's Lenny in behind him. He did get pretty close to him, but so he should have. He sat behind him the whole way.
He did. And what this video doesn't show you is that big mini, as they call him, was dorking around during the race, and speeding up and slowing down. And look, you still can't trust him, but God, he's just such a fantastically talented horse. I'm glad he got that win, and Mark suggests that the trip is making the horse. He's got 2 on the second line on Saturday night, which is going to be a big problem for him, but maybe the trip will help Greg.
Yeah.
A lot of people criticise the fact they took him off the unruly. He got barrier 1, he led.
Yeah.
I've learnt a fair while ago, second guessing what those top trainers tend to do is not a good idea. 55
9-mile rate, so he really ripped around there, and it'll be great to see him again on Saturday night. Vincent?
Okay.
This isn't good.
It's sad. This is whenever a horse breaks down, I don't believe it's a tragedy. People getting sick, seriously sick, is a tragedy. People dying is a tragedy. But it's awfully sad for the open class ranks and for the connections of the horse, because Vincent looked like a little mini version of Lazarus, but bigger, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And I think he could have potentially tested him in the Miracle Mile. I don't think he would have beaten him in the Miracle Mile, all things being equal. This is the Auckland Cup, which has now become the race of doom. That's what it's become, Gregory.
Well, it has, when you consider...
Well, the horse who finishes second in the race has also broken down. Not badly, but he's sore. The year before, Dream About Me won it, and I don't think she's won a race since. And then the year before that, Have Faith in Me won it, had a wonderful summer, and then just lost the plot, and he's now in North America. So it's bizarre what's happened to these Auckland Cup horses. Now with him, here's the absolute story on Vincent. Obviously has a suspensory problem, and that's not good, because bone damage is better, as you know, Gregory, being from a horse family. They are having a second opinion on the horse with one of the vets who does a lot of their work. And that's not because they don't trust the first vet, because they have a very important decision to make. That is, do we try again? And Mark and Natalie both said, I want to try again. We want to give this horse another crack. But he's got 9 months in the paddock or a box.
So that's when he comes back to New Zealand.
So yeah, so basically he's got 9 months of doing nothing. So this year's gone. So your earliest target would be, I wouldn't even know what it would be.
I'll tell you what worries me about that.
Next year.
Big lump stallion.
And he's fast, and they need to stick with, and that's the key word.
Not saying they wouldn't be able to get him back, but it's... Yeah.
That's the key word, stallion.
Yep.
The reason they're getting a second opinion is so Gene and Bill Feast can make a decision, because they will have offers from studs, and of course, being by Art Major, he can cross a lot of those betters delight mares, which is really crucial. But if you're going to stand him at stud, you don't want to start mucking around with it next November. You need to be up and running and advertising and seeking mares through the winter. So my gut feeling is they want to bring him back into work and have a crack, but I think if the prognosis from the second veterinary report is not good, then he could be retired to stud. There's no reason he can't do both. Blink It On tried to do both, but it hasn't tended to work with great success in recent decades. So the Vincent story is possibly going to end on a low. And even if he does come back, Greg, you know what I mean? A year away.
Yeah, that's a...
Smolder had a similar break when he was in the middle of his career, but...
Yeah, it's a big stretch, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Hey, a couple of good performances there on Saturday night as well. Colt 31 winning the Victoria Derby. I think he's like 11 from 16 now.
That's super.
Bred by the Seymour. He went unreal. He was parked and just kept on coming.
Watch him coming wide.
Yeah, sorry, he wasn't
That's
parked.
Him coming wide behind Poster Boy. So there's the Devil's Own.
The Devil's Own. He looked the winner at the 400 metres.
Yeah, he did, and he was very good.
The surprising thing in the post-race interview as well, Grant Dixon was surprised he was able to run past Poster Boy, something he hasn't been able to do in the past, and it was a big performance, wasn't it?
I think they went way too hard early. They burned the race upside down.
Well, Lumineer and Spankham were flying early, weren't they?
Yeah, they did. And Mark thinks Spankham is not right, and they sent him home. So he's not going to the New South Wales Derby, and more importantly, he may not go to the Northern Derby. So I think he'll go for a spell. He just didn't hit the line well enough. The winner goes back to Queensland, I suppose. Probably go to New South Wales Derby, then back to Queensland. I'm not sure we take too much out of that. Beautiful drive by Grant, but I think if you ran that race again and put the horse's lead trail out the back last and second last, they would have done the same thing.
Of course, he'd run third in the Breeders' Crown behind King of Swing.
Yeah.
So he'd already shown Group 1 form. But you're right,
exactly.
whoever went first, and that happened to be the Devil's Own, was going to be under pressure a long way out. His run, I thought, was very brave.
And I think it's a very good, even bunch of 3-year-olds, but the best one's not there, Chase Auckland. And King of Swing's not there either, who beat most of those horses in the Breeders' Crown. So I'm not sure we're going to see a derby this year where all the best horses get together, because Chase Auckland's waiting for Auckland. And then most of these will go to New South Wales.
What about Lumiere? I know that he was in that early burn, but gee, he had a wrap going into the race.
He did. And the Victorians love to wrap their horses. They get very, very parochial about their horses, which is a positive and a negative. It's a positive for building enthusiasm. It's a negative for punters when they get that bigger wrap. He's a wonderful little horse. You do have that concern that the size thing will get to him eventually.
Yeah.
It did it to Courage Under Fire. But there's not many great small horses.
It probably did when Courage Under Fire got to free-for-all level.
Exactly right. A willing to forgive race, but yeah, I've got a funny feeling this could be a derby year where 5 different horses win the 5 major derbies.
Kiwi interest in the Great Southern Star, of course, one race now over the longer journey, and we had Temporale in that, who's been the form trotter of this season. Speeding Spur, who'd been there and done that in this race in a different format, but Temporale got out here, and I thought he can run down the leader.
I thought he was going to, but he had every conceivable chance. Tony drove him inch perfectly. Sparkling Success is a great story. Trained by a guy called John Mead, who you probably haven't heard of. Farmer. And where's the farmer's hat? It's one of those old man from Snowy River stories. Chris Nemosio, who drives the horse, a couple of years ago was hospitalised and he had fluid leaking out of his spine, and they said to him, you may not leave this bed. This may happen to you. And it's obviously got better, and he's bounced back, and he's just enjoying life. It's a wonderful story. Not all wonderful stories involve New Zealand horses. This is a different type of a horse. It's bred over there. It's trained by a small-time guy and driven by a guy who deserved a big win. Tony Hurley, he's a mate of ours. He's probably a mate of yours too. But I'm happy enough to see him get beat.
I'll tell you what went great in that race too, Hey Yo. And good on Jack Harrington. Him and his father and the connection sent the horse over there. Now finished third in a Great Southern Star. He won the Sunday Cup with Bailey's Night. They flew in. Another great story from Melbourne. Basically hadn't been to bed, rocked up there and won a Grass Track Cup. So.
And she's a mare?
Yes, that's right.
Well, that's beautiful for her. She's set for life now. So good on you, Jack. Sometimes placing your horses means you're not training your own one.
Yeah.
It's the right place for Hey Yo. So those horses go around on the Dullard Cup this week, but the Hunter Cup, it's actually not that strong a program, but the Hunter Cup's huge. You're going to be there and beaming stuff back live on Saturday night. It's almost a little bit like the Winx thing now, where Lazarus is so big that if he comes out and thrashes them, it'll be great, and if he doesn't win, there's that state of weird confusion around him.
If you haven't had the opportunity to look at the field, here it is for you with the market for this year's Hunter Cup. Tiger Tara, we know well, has got barrier 1. Bling It On's won this race before, $16 for him, $1.35 for Lazarus. So he's come up with barrier 3. Interested to hear from Michael in a moment about how Mark thinks the race might unfold. Lenny the Shark drawn to get a beautiful run on the inside. Heaven Rocks, of course, at $6. And then the likes of Moonrock. Collectively, Michael, this field, they've won close to 300 races between them. It's a deep race, and there is the WA Pacing Cup winner drawn the outside second row, Soho Tribeca.
It's very similar to the Inter-Dominion Grand Final field, but you lose Chicago Bull, who ran second there, and you replace him with Bling It On, who's the defending champion. So the top 6 horses are basically the same horses, but taking one of those out and chucking another one in. The barrier draw is really similar. The chances of Tiger Tara drawing 1, again, like it did at Gloucester Park, and Lazarus drew 2 there, but he drew 3, which is basically the same thing. It's incredible. The chances of it happening are incredibly remote. And again, one of the next favourites is drawn on their back, Chicago Bull at Gloucester Park, Lenny the Shark this time. So you say to yourself, well, it's more or less over the same distance on a similar type track. It's a bigger track. Why would you expect a different result? At Gloucester Park, I think Lazarus was about $1.90. So if Mark tells me he's ready to race up to that form and win again, it's impossible to tip against him. The interesting thing was Kevin Pizzuto, who trains Tiger Tara and who once tried to knock out one of his school teachers, said that he's going to launch and make it a more of a staying contest. And Mark said, well, that suits me. I'm not going to give him an easy time in front. Well, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because if Mark serves it up to Tiger Tara, they can go awfully fast here. So it'll make great viewing. I'm not sure it's a great betting race, but there's enough depth here that if they do go to war, other horses could potentially benefit, but running past Lazarus is not easy. Soho Tribeca won the WA Cup when he was in front. I think he's a very, very good horse in front. That's him in front. There's the little bull outside him. I don't know. I just can't
outside second row, you can't have him. You can't.
Outside Lazarus is not a horse in Australasia. I want to back from the outside of the second line in any open class race. So he's a very good horse. He could be a factor in a Miracle Mile. I'd be stunned if he could be a factor in this. He's gone to Mick Stanley's stable and Greg Sugars will take the reins on Soho Tribeca. But here's Lenny. Won last week in a field he had to beat San Carlo, who sits in the trail there. I think Lenny can win these races, Greg, these days. What's your opinion? I'm not sure he can win the good races.
Look, he's been a great horse, no question about that. His record suggests that. The amount of money he's won, the number of races he's won. But even sitting in the trail, well, he couldn't get past Heaven Rocks. He can't give a start to Tiger Tara and Lazarus, I don't think. And although he's in the trail, a couple of lengths at this level was hard to make up for a horse that's been to war as many times as he has.
Yeah, here's the Tiger sitting parked the other day at Goulburn, and he was really good, I thought. Sitting parked is never easy, but look, he'll lead and he'll make the race unless Ya's hot spot just launches from the outside of the front line.
And there is potential for that to happen.
Yeah, of course it is. They love a launch. But look, I think he's going to be the leader at the top of the straight, but whether Lazarus runs past him or they set it up for Lenny the Shark. I wouldn't suggest Lenny the Shark's an ideal passing lane horse. Like the last time I can remember Lenny being in the passing lane and being a factor was second to Chris and me in the Victoria Cup a couple of years ago. He actually trailed in a race behind Hector JJ last year over a mile or 1660 at Albion Park and didn't make an inch of ground.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it's
that's what worries me.
Yeah. But if they go really hard over 2760 this week, it might suit him. And we know the marker pegs are paved in gold over 2760 because you're covering a lot less ground. I think Lazarus will win. I think Tiger Tara is a gimme for a place. And Lenny the Shark's got to be next. Heaven Rocks?
Yeah. I don't like him coming wide on the track trying to run down those types of horses, but I'm not going to question his absolute raw ability. If they go very hard, he's going to be one off the fence. We haven't really seen him come wide and flash down the outside, have we? So
I said to Mark this morning, what needs to happen for Heaven Rocks to beat Lazarus? He said if they go crazy up front and he comes with one run, he could come really fast. And I said, well, is that going to happen? He said, I don't know.
Who knows? That's often the response you get around him.
It's very rare, exactly, when you ask the All-Stars or even the top trainers anywhere and they just say to you, I don't know. But he's just an I don't know horse. I said to him before the Ballarat Cup, do you think he'll lead from barrier 1? He said, I've got no idea. I just don't know. So
$100,000 bonus quaddie across races 5 through 8 there. Hey, just back to a couple of other performances there on Saturday night. Jillaby Kung Fu. I know I got mixed up before about sitting parked. He sat parked the whole way. Gee, he was good awesome in the Bonanza. He beat Stars Align.
Now that's interesting for this reason. The Chariots of Fire is 10 days away in Menangle. We get to Menangle very quickly. These carnivals roll into each other in the Derby Carnival at Alexandra Park. Vincent is obviously out of that. Now, the only New Zealand contender, because all the other ones pulled out, Star Galleria pulled out, Jack's Legend has pulled out, is Ultimate Machete, but we haven't seen him since that Fremantle Cup.
What are you thinking there?
They didn't sound confident this morning. Okay. I wouldn't be stunned if he turned up. Can he turn up in his best form? I doubt it. If I heard tomorrow morning Ultimate Machete was out of the Chariots of Fire, that wouldn't surprise me. So Jillaby Kung Fu comes into play with a horse called Atomic Red. Now Atomic Red's the horse who beat Ultimate Machete in a New South Wales Derby heat last year. He's a pretty good horse. He might be the best horse in New South Wales after Bling It On in a year's time. So the Chariots of Fire, which is a race we've owned, New Zealand that is, not us, for a long time, we might not have a horse in.
I'll tell you what, the depth of program on Saturday night at Menangle is very good. Heading there. The other big race there last Saturday night was Golden Goddess beating Party On, and she was outstanding, I thought. Delishka finished 7th in that race. Spoke to Brad Mowbray on Sunday. He was happy enough with that. She's now at Menangle, so she's hoping to obviously get into the ladyship.
It's a big call because you could have stayed home and raced this week in the Mayor's Premiership race.
The Premier Mayor's.
Premier Mayor's at Addington, but
Takes on Elijah Dushku and Razor Grunter. But Razor Grunter is a horse that
she's a chance to go around there and go 151, and then all of a sudden that's next to your name in the sales catalogue for a long time. But it's brutal, Menangle. It's a very strange place to go to for horses fresh up because they get into oxygen debt so quickly with those 26-second opening quarters. But so all that's you're going to be there, Saturday night. So you'll be there and you can take us through. I'll probably pop my ugly head on too, and just take you through the whole Lazarus experience.
You won't have much to say. You never know about those.
I think it'd be cool
if
Lazarus came in and beats him by 3.
Yeah.
Because then you go into a Miracle Mile where people in the galloping community might go, well, I better stay up and watch this. So that's what I'm hoping happens, but it's a deep, deep race.
All right, a couple of other things I want to discuss. Ricky May, milestone birthday for him for the New Zealand record 3rd ever.
So what does that mean?
In terms of, what doesn't mean anything.
What sort of milestone
do you want me to give you
number.
exactly what it is? He's 5 years off retirement. There you go.
And the thing is, there's no chance he's going to retire in 5 years.
No, not at all.
Isn't it funny? When you're a kid growing up, when people tell you that someone is 60, you thought they were old. And now you hear Ricky May's 60 and he behaves like he's 25.
Yeah, and he's still driving in wonderful form, as you know. Sad bit of news this morning. Savia Patrol has broken down.
Again?
Yeah, cracked his only good leg.
What have you done,
cracked a
Gregory?
pastern.
So
I spoke to Mark Jones about that. I said, what, is that over? He said, no, we will get it screwed this morning. And yeah, he could come back, but yeah, that's pretty brutal.
Man,
it's
been a brutal January.
It has been. We'll take a quick break here on Your Box Seat. When we come back, a whole lot of stats I think you'll be really surprised by. Your Box Seat continues whilst we have been away for the last month. 238 races. What other stats have we got for you?
You don't know that off the top of your head, do you?
No, that was Glenbourne. He got us that. Dexter's driven about 19 winners and Blair 18, so the battle for the premiership continues.
So
pretty close over that
basically
period.
It hasn't changed, has it?
Well, I think he might be 24 or 25 in front now, but Dex had a really good weekend last weekend. I think he drove 7 or 8 winners as opposed to Blair's.
But what we're saying is, since we last had a show, there's been 238 wins and it's changed by 1.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Well, that's not enough, is it?
No, it's not at this stage.
Look, I would like to see it get close, but...
Dexter's brother, John, he had a pretty good time of it, as he has up at the Nelson
I was on the air for this one this day.
Oh, look.
It's exciting when these things happen.
It is.
People drive 6 winners and people were texting in and tweeting in and saying, well, this person did it and that person did it. And Robert and John basically trained together. So
their last 5 years at the Nelson Marlborough, whether it be winter or summer circuits, has been nothing short of staggering.
Well, they've trained 5 together, because I'm giving John a training credit for these, and John's driven 6. Hell of a day on the grass at Blenheim.
I caught up with him on Sunday. We had a chat about those 6 wins.
Good job.
John, you joined a really unique club to have driven 6 winners on a day. That was magnificent at Blenheim.
Yeah, that's right. Lucky enough, everything fell into place, and like you say, it was a great day out, and wrapped with how it's all unfolded.
Love you to do it, of course, was the first of those, and then the last 5 legs of pick 6. Nobody's driven pick 6 before, I'm sure of that.
Yeah, I know. I thought the first leg could have been home too. I was out by about 4 or 5 lengths around the bend, but the long straight tripped old Clifton Clouds up. But no, it was really good to get the next 5.
Johnny, your record, you and your father, in the last 4 or 5 seasons at the top of the South Island carnivals has been nothing short of staggering.
Yeah, we're very lucky, like you say, but we take nice horses. We've got nice horses that go away and make it a real owners and sort of family thing when we set sail and head to Nelson and Blenheim. So, but like you say, we've had a great run, all right.
10 times 4 winners and now 4 of 5 winners, and obviously the 6 in the bag suggests that, yeah, when you do win them, you're winning them in pairs.
Yeah, it seems that way, so hopefully it can continue like that.
Okay, you're up to 950 odd winners, so I think there's 24, maybe 25 in the 1,000 win club. The way you're trucking this season, it's potentially could be on before the end of the season.
Yeah, I maybe a wee bit far out of the reach, Greg, but I'd like to hopefully early into the next part of the season, but if I get this season, it'll be an amazing effort.
Yeah, congratulations on the feat, of course, a magnificent day to you, well done.
Thanks for that, Greg.
Yeah, great effort from John Dunn, often underrated, isn't he? But he is getting very close to that 1,000 win. I think there is about 24 or 25 in that club, and he'll deserve to get there. He's driving in great form.
As I said, you've got to give him a training credit too, because Robert basically lives in Auckland, so those horses are basically being trained by John. So I give them dual credit for that, but well done to Robert.
What about some of these stats?
Robert's kept a big business going for a long time.
Oh, he has.
These stats are amazing. People who have, and also Sam Otley drove 5. Let's not go over top of that, but we'll start at the top. People who have driven 7 winners in a day. Double D and Hurley, I think that's pretty fair. They sit alone. Here's some ones I didn't know. Clark Barron, 6 in a day, twice. Double D 6 times. A couple of names, Greg. I knew Jim Curtin. We knew John Dunn, obviously. Maury Mack, you would expect it from. Jay Abernethy.
Yes.
I presume it was on the grass. Was it?
Wanganui or something like that? I'm pretty sure.
Ricky, you'd expect. Tim Williams, I didn't know. So Tim's done it.
You got a text about that, though?
I did, yes. Very supportive partner he has. And Tony's done it 3 times. That's pretty good.
Yes. Amy Edmonds had it.
Now, what about this list? 5 wins in a day. And check out the bottom of the first column. Dexter Dunn has driven 5 wins in a day 22 times.
Half of those would be at Forbury, I'd almost guarantee, without knowing exactly the stats.
That's just staggering. Maury's done it 7 times. Tony's done it 11 times.
David Butcher 7 times.
Peter Ferguson's really interesting. 6 times. It's a big effort from him. Wolfie, of course.
He used to do a lot of travelling, though, Peter Ferguson, particularly down south. Yeah.
Well, now training greyhounds, doing a good job. Mark's done it 6 times. That's to be expected. Matt Williamson did it at Oamaru last year. Morris Holmes, of course, one of the absolute legends. David Butcher's had 7. Charlie Hunter. I wouldn't have expected that. Charlie Hunter. Most of the names on that list you kind of expect. Natalie has done it, and Sam, so the only 2 females to do it.
There's one missing there.
Yes, there is. And it's our premiership leader.
B Orange. Not on the list.
Which is even more remarkable because what I'm about to tell you is hardly believable. Blair Orange has not driven 5 winners at a meeting, but
another Orange.
Back in 1910 or 19 something, it was a long time before I was born, and I'm old. A guy called Bill Orange, I'm not making this up, drove 5 in a day at Alexandra Park. Yeah. Bill Orange.
Yeah, there you go.
So B Orange has driven 5 in a day, but that was 100 years ago and a bit more, and his name is Bill.
Yeah.
So what's Blair been doing?
Not
just
really sure. He's driven
Blair,
4 a few
get off
times.
your ass, do something about it.
There you go.
So training wins?
Yes.
Obviously a smaller list. Let's have a look at that. So you can probably guess the first page.
Yes, could have found those.
If your name's not Purdon, you're not on that page. So Mark and Natalie did it on New Zealand Cup Day, which is remarkable. Roy and Barry, of course, and Grant Payne with Mark.
Mark, yep.
6 wins, Jack and Charlie Hunter. I don't remember meeting Jack, so that must have been a long time ago. Mark's did it, of course, Mark and Natalie 7 times.
Yeah.
They trained 6 winners. These are great stats. The fivers, Gregory?
Yes. Yeah, none of them really. So Ian Small maybe, but of course at one stage
he was training Jeffrey's team at some stage.
Right. So Mark Jones, Peter Blanchard.
Reed Rogerson. Graham Rogerson.
Yeah, there you go.
But
until you do something like this, until something like what happened to John Dunn and of course Samantha Otley, you just don't.
Well, and Anderson Hoffman, for example, that's wonderful. And John Lishner, I wouldn't have got him off the top of my head. When you look back on it from all those years ago,
when Ken joined him,
exactly, you would. But some great names, and those lists do go a lot further back. But the computer system at a harness racing New Zealand only goes back so far, and Darren Williams was instrumental in getting
great work there.
I wrote an article for The Informant, which some people didn't seem to like, which it doesn't surprise me. We should have an honours board. We should have an honours board.
I read that article.
And the only place you can have it where people get enough foot traffic, thank you, Gregor, I'm glad you read it, is Addington and Alexandra Park. And you should have them to say to people, and every track around the country, I think Matty Williamson was Timaru or Oamaru. You should have that there because these are important things and people can forget them. And when people go to the races, we keep talking about building up our harness drivers and trainers to be heroes. Well, if you don't acknowledge what they've done, people aren't going to go to the website and check it out. So I reckon if you drive a fiver on a racetrack in this country, the club should put it up there and say...
Well, it's a little bit like the Alexandra Park Premiership boards. I know it was only a small thing when they put them up there. Every time I go there, I go, oh yeah, Tony's leading the drivers.
Yep.
Zach's leading the...
I actually said to them, we need to put this up. I said, we need to put this up to recognise our achievements. And I reckon, I'm adamant that if you drive a fiver, you should come to the national awards and you should be put on stage and given the big photograph of the 5 for the day or the 6 or the 7, and people should say, this is important, Sam Otley, because we're not going to forget you did this because it's awfully hard.
Or you go to golf clubs, tennis clubs, anything like that, honours boards, that's the first thing you go and have a look at.
And I don't think anybody hasn't not wanted to do it. It's just one of those things we haven't done as an industry. But Addington and Alexandra Park and the stand there saying, these are the people who've done it at this track, and these are the people who have done it at other tracks,
yes.
And then every 6 months they can just add another one to Dexter's. It'd be fine.
Yeah, exactly.
Which would seem about right. But you know what? Someone out there should sponsor that.
All right.
Somebody out there should sponsor that.
Gurin and Associates or something.
Like but, you know, I think somebody out there, it's a great opportunity because it would be the single most looked at wall at Addington and your name could be above it. So have a crack.
At Gurin Sports.
I'll stop it.
Has a nice ring to it. The retirement of, well, one of our most outstanding trotters in the last 5 or 6 seasons anyway. I had a chance to catch up with Kevin Townley on Sunday to reflect on this little horse's wonderful career. Kevin, I guess it was an inevitable decision with the way Shimon had been racing that it was time to pull the pin.
It was, Greg. He still works well and loves doing it, but he's just down a few pegs on what he used to be, yeah.
And let's face it, he's been a magnificent performer right from his 2-year-old days where he won the Sire Stakes and was placed in the Jewels all the way through to placing in a race like the Rowe Cup, but he had a few Group 1 wins himself. He
did. He was a terrific little horse. He really was right through. Well, this is his 7th season. So he's done well, but the last couple of seasons I know we've done next to nothing, but I just wanted to give him his chance to see if the old spark was still there, but as soon as we saw it wasn't, we decided to retire him.
Let's be fair, Kevin, he raced in a wonderful era of trotters. He went against the likes of Royal Aspirations, and then he had to cop Stent and Master Lazarus, so it was a pretty deep crop, wasn't it?
It was, and on his day he measured up with them, you know, he won some and lost some amongst them, but yeah, it was great to have him. He was right there at his best.
Career highlights for you? What stands out? What do you think was his best win?
Gee, now that's tough.
Maybe the New Zealand record he set when winning the Anzac Cup, because that was a great performance. Maybe even running second to Master Lazarus in the Rowe Cup, that might have been almost career best.
Yes, well that was the better career best performance. It was, and I suppose his career low would be in the Rowe Cup the next year, the only time he missed away in his life. Yeah. And he galloped off the start and didn't know what to do, so he was flying at the time too, so you know, but no, we had some great runs. Unlucky in a couple, but Dexter's drivers won races that maybe we shouldn't have too at times.
I think he won 19 or 20 races, and you've been associated with a lot of good horses, but you know, for consistency it'd be hard to match. He banked over $500,000.
That's right, and I think he averaged 3 times out of the money out of the first 4 for 7 seasons. Yeah. Yeah. The last few didn't have much to go with it, the last couple, but you know, so he was always in it.
And for Margaret and her daughter Hayley, a great thrill to have them have a horse of this quality.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And he's just like a lot of great horses. He's a fantastic personality. He's just the nicest horse you'd ever meet, and he'll always be around, looked after.
Yeah, a really neat horse, of course, placed in his first 2 harness jewels and behind Royal Aspirations, Prime Power. Then he won his, which I thought was great. He won 4 Group 1s, but he still holds New Zealand records in 3 categories. So he was in a really good era of trotter. I've just mentioned those couple of horses, but Stent, Master Lazarus. And he went through that period, Michael, when he won the National Trot, he won the Anzac Cup, and he won the heat of the Great Southern Star, and he had no luck in that final, but he was in really great form at that stage. He was right up there.
Brave little horse. Probably wasn't as naturally talented as maybe a Stent with speed, but beautifully driven, well trained by Kevin, and just the sort of horse you like. He's a cool little dude, and I like hearing the fact that Kevin said he'll be around for a long time. They'll retire.
I think they're going to try and break him into the saddle, and
cool.
Which would be
great. We've lost a couple this year, Master Lazarus, him and Stent. So, you know, the ranks have thinned out a bit, and they do look thinner with Monbay on the sideline. So.
And Speeding Spur not being where he needs to be.
No, I think he had an issue the other night. I think they'll bring him back for the Rowe Cup, but they weren't thinking he performed up to his best. So we're lucky we've had so many great trotters, but we are going through a little bit of a period at the moment, pacing and trotting, where there's a few in the injury bay.
As we go to the break, always try and do this when the young people drive their first winners, try and catch up and reflect on it with them, and I got the chance to do it twice on Sunday.
Oh, Charlotte, this is really embarrassing because normally we have a chat within a week of your first win, but you're now up to 5. Let's go back to Pyramid Magic though. It must have been a huge thrill.
Yeah, it was a great day to get my first win, and to do it on one of Phil and Bev's trotters was even more special.
Of course, you're based at the barn there with your partner Matthew Williamson. More about him later. Yeah, that was great to get there. What about this driving caper and being around the horses? Because you have got a family background in it, so was it always going to be part of your life?
Always going to be a part of my life and an interest sake of things, but it wasn't until I met Matt Williamson and I started travelling down south I really got into it. I was a beauty therapist and always thought the medical side of things was going to be me, but yeah, since I got behind the horse I was addicted to it.
Well, now you're up to win number 5. Not only that, but you've won a cup with 4 Stars Shiraz, so you're really flying in this caper.
I'm really enjoying it, and I'm very lucky that the trainers and especially the owners are willing to put a first season junior on, and I'm getting given a really good go so far.
What is it about the horse and driving them, particularly on race day, that you like the most?
I love it all in general, but if you come back and the trainers and the owners are happy with you, seeing their smile and the thrill they get out of it is probably the best.
Well, congratulations to you thus far. You're doing a great job out on the track and you're putting up with Matthew off the track, so yeah, life's pretty good, eh?
Yeah, that's probably the hardest part, copping the banter at the end of the day, but all's pretty good. Thank you.
Well, appropriate, Olivia, we should catch up at Motukarara. Where you got your first win, that must have been a massive thrill.
Yeah, it was a massive thrill considering I've done a lot of work with the horse.
Okay, so you're working at the All Stars, but as we know, your dad, Robin, he does a little bit of training, doesn't have a whole lot of horses. So to win one on, or your first one on his horse must have been equally as a bigger thrill.
Yeah, it was a big thrill considering it's been a while since he's had a win.
Okay, so it was drive number 9 for you. Was this always going to be your go in life? What were you like at school? Or did you always think, oh, I want to get out to the stables?
Oh, I was always pretty good at school, getting good results, but there was always horses in the background that I wanted to have a career with.
Okay, so your job now is with the All Stars and you're really enjoying that opportunity and learning plenty, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's a really great opportunity working with Mark and Nat. They're really helpful with your driving career and the calibre of horses you get to drive straight.
Well, congratulations on win number 1. I hope it's one of many, and yeah, we look forward to following you in the future.
Thanks, Drew.
Welcome back into your box seat. In the last week or so, really sad time in harness racing. We lost one of the biggest names in New Zealand harness racing anywhere around the world, and Bob McArdle, hugely instrumental in the establishment of Neville Stud with the late Wayne Francis. Of course, set up his own Bromac Lodge, which is the Bromac name has been associated with many good horses, and of course the yearling sales this year, that brand will be once again out. But I took an opportunity on Sunday to catch up with long-time bloodstock agent in the same business, because Bob was such a huge seller around the world of the New Zealand standard bred, with Paul Davies to reflect a little bit on the sad passing of Bob McArdle.
Paul, worldwide the significance of the loss of Bob McArdle will be being felt?
Oh, absolutely, Greg. I would doubt that there was a name better known in harness racing circles throughout Australia, New Zealand and the USA.
His contribution enormous across so many spheres of the sport. Of course, a massive part in the early induction of Neville Stud with the late Wayne Francis. He was instrumental in that getting off the ground, and so many of our great sires he's been associated with.
Well, Wayne brought to that party, or that particular thing, his business acumen, but it was Bob's horse knowledge, breeding knowledge, that I think was the vital part of their significant partnership over many years. The stallions, Holmes Hanover, leading sire on both sides of the Tasman, El Patron, Nero's BB, Falcon Sealster. Many others that we could name too. And also, not only did he establish with Wayne Neville, Bob in his own right established a showplace in Bromac Lodge too. So 2 absolute showplaces in the industry.
Your association goes a long way back. You were telling me before, early 70s. He pretty much put you under his wing and said, come with me, I'll show you the way.
He was very good to me. I was new in the industry in 1970, knew very, very little, and I was in Melbourne. He took me under his wing. He spent a whole day with me, introducing me to trainers, taking me around different racetracks. Very good. And then over the years, I auctioneered on many occasions his horses. Bob always had time for people, always said hello, and you know, I think that was something about Bob that I always respected, among many things.
An immense knowledge of the game. It's been reported that he's got a whole container full of books on the history of the sport, and so much of that will be lost with him passing away because he just had most of that in his head.
That's right. I know that any time I had any books spare, he would take them. Catalogues, race books, anything, stud books like that at all. Most of that stuff today's redundant, but Bob held on to it all. And I think the other thing about Bob that I've always acknowledged and respected, great salesman that he was, never gave up on a deal. He was a relentless pursuer, a wonderful salesman.
He was also a very successful owner. His best horse, arguably, Howard Bromack, of course, took out an Auckland Cup, was placed in a New Zealand and a Hunter Cup, and he really enjoyed that time with Kirk and Michelle Larson.
Yes, they were great days for him with Howard Bromack. Prior to that, in the middle 70s, he had the great horse, Montini Bromack, with Reg Curtin. That was his first really good horse, but then Howard Bromack, two very, very good horses that he could claim to.
Paul, he'll be sadly missed, not only here in New Zealand, but from Tasmania, Australasian-wide and worldwide, and we get a chance to farewell him appropriately at Addington Raceway.
On Thursday afternoon. Greg, the one thing again that I admired about Bob, he was a wonderful family man. I don't know for how many years he and Denise were married, but only half of that time would have he spent with her. He was away overseas so much and travelling such a lot, but he always had as much time as he could for his family. A lovely family man. He truly did love his family.
Yeah, to Denise, Lisa and Baden and the entire family of the McArdles. Look, it was appropriate on Saturday night that Cruz Bromack, who was first up in a year, ripped around Melton in 151 and change. Look, he'll leave a remarkable legacy, which will go on for a long time, Michael.
Yeah, well, those names will never leave the stud book or the sales catalogue for decades to come. And he was a businessman, Bob, and because of that, because he was hard-nosed, sometimes you get on the wrong side of him, and you'd have a blue, and then he'd see you next week and be as good as gold. He's just that sort of guy, and sometimes I think we don't revere business people as much as we do the people who do a business on the track, but you can't have one without the other. Over decades, he would have made a lot of money out of the game, but he put an awful lot of money into other people's pockets, and that keeps the industry ticking over. Had a really good talk to Kirk Larson, who we did a lot of business with over a long period of time through the Howard Bromack days. We saw Howard Bromack winning the Auckland Cup there. You need people like Bob in the industry, and one of my fears for the industry is that you can't replenish that level of information. So I enjoyed my talks with Bob. I enjoyed the occasional argument with Bob.
Yeah.
He will be farewell tomorrow, is it? At Addington?
Yeah, 1 o'clock tomorrow at Addington Raceway.
And it's a real shock because a guy with his energy levels, I know people die, but you don't expect them to, you know.
No.
You wake up and
76 he was, and hey, if
and
you
he acted like he was 50.
That's right. And if you're going to go, Michael, he went in his sleep, and I suppose that's the only solace we can take out of that.
And he would love the fact that his name will be synonymous with harness racing in this country for a century.
And so it should.
So
it should be. Speaking of big names, David Miller came to New Zealand on a working holiday, and well, he managed to grab a win not only at Addington Raceway on Friday night, a Showgate. I got this completely wrong on the night, talking about the Showgate, the Galloper, who'd won about 30 races, but gee, this was a performance. Regan Todd trains it, and it's owned by Cheryl Rasmussen.
So I get the feeling if Regan, I think Mark and Natalie have horses occasionally they buy at the sales, then if they need more time, give them to Regan, which is a huge compliment to him.
And on the beach, obviously the horse needs
exactly
the beach.
Right, and I think this must be one of those horses, but clearly a pretty good horse, and we're seeing girls on film emerge in the north, so I would suggest that the 3-year-old Oaks and some of the trotting races will be pretty good.
And then he turned up here, again driving a trotting winner, and fronted up for his good mate, a good friend of his who used to work out of Ross Croghan's barn, and Tim Trathan, and got the business done with speedy command, came from a wee way off them. He had driven on the grass before, but was only a one-off opportunity then, and gee, this was a great thing to see him winning his first ever drive in New Zealand on a grass track.
Look, it's cool to have these guys here because you meet them and you might be able to sell a horse to them, or you'll learn something from them, or maybe you'll go to North America and they'll pid you up or talk to them, you'll get experience. So the more you can internationalise the product, the better. He came to Alexandra Park and he was all at sea. He was. It just goes to show you how hard it is, no matter how great you are, to do something completely out of your comfort zone. And driving right-handed, he looked all at sea.
I got to talk to him. It was great conversation.
He seemed a lot more comfortable driving left-handed, but it's just wonderful to have them here, and it's a working holiday. And
Always Be Mickey. That'll be the horse that he'll be associated with.
Have you seen him? Always Be Mickey? He's massive.
We get to see him here.
Look how big he is.
Yeah, I know. He was very complimentary of his ability, and this is what he did in a sensational time.
Down on the outside, all bets off on the far outside. Always Be Mickey pacing home strongly. Shambhala second. Always Be Mickey is heading down to the line. Always Be Mickey in 1:46 world record.
I'm so pleased we weren't talking over that commentary, Michael. 1:46.
That guy could commentate at the Big Bash. He's really enthusiastic.
He is. So it was great to have him here, and it added so much to last week, I think.
It's great. As I said, it can only be good for the industry and connections, and have these people coming and going. Just talking about stallions, really sad news. Some Beach Somewhere, who was sort of seen as the replacement stallion for Betters Delight Art Major going forward as they get older, died of cancer. So they had a bit of a battle, and they had chemotherapy on the 13-year-old, and yeah, he died. So that's
this
not
is
great.
him at the Red Mile as well.
He was a wonderful, wonderful horse, and he's become a very good stallion. And look, that'll last for a couple more seasons, but not as long as we would like.
He is heading down to the wire. Some Beach Somewhere. McDonnell pushes him home. 1:46 and 4.
Yeah, it's been a pretty tough time stallion-wise because we lost Mark III as well. So yeah,
look, you're not sure where they're going to emerge from. Auckland Reactor's emerging.
He's starting to emerge, isn't he?
And look, we're going to need to find something to breed all these Betters Delight and major mares to. I'm not sure what it's going to be. Someone smart will work it out.
We're about to take another break here on Your Box Seat. When we return, we've got some big news out of the North Island, and of course we look forward to the PGG rights and sales there, right on our doorstep. It's that time of year again, Michael. Shopping time, sales time, PGG rights and
I went to the
Brecon
sales
Farms.
last year and said, I'm not going to buy a horse. I am not going to buy a horse.
You bought a horse?
Bought a horse.
Yep.
Trialled yesterday.
They're getting behind, both PGG rights and Brecon Farms, our Australian coverage for the month of February. So not only will we be at Melton this week.
Well, you better do a good job then.
Well, I'll be trying. Miracle Mile in 3 weeks' time after that. So, yeah, a lot to look forward to there. So it's a really busy time, and we sent our intrepid reporter out to talk to Ken Brecon.
This year we have our biggest draft, 41. Of those, Karen and I have 17 in. Huge numbers for us. I think it's 5 more than we've ever had previously. Scott Yarnley and his team have done a wonderful job preparing this draft, and I think it's possibly our best draft that we've ever had. We've done some very strong advertising in Australia. Rob Carr, that runs our marketing side, we've done a lot over there. I think really it's the results that we've been getting in Australia. You know, horses like Party On, and also of course Highgate with the Trotting Gate, again won a number of Group 1s. I think our brand is very, very strong in Australia, and I think that was shown with last year's figures where 50% of our draft in fact ended up in Australia. We've had a lot of interest, and a huge amount of interest. We've had Australian buyers already over, and they are in fact key buyers, and again a lot of interest with the open parade day we had here at Te Aomere, we had up to 70 people. So, look, I think it's going to be a fantastic sale. I think with what the Auckland Trotting Club are doing, stakes are increasing, positive signs from the government. So I think it'll be a very, very good sale.
So great to catch up with Ken Brecken. Like I said, a busy time for them. Let's have a look at some of the lots they are offering. Lot 5, here you go, you'll know a wee bit about this one, by Art Major filly out of Rozelski.
Poor old Rozelski. We bought her as a 2-year-old, and Adore Me didn't exist at the time in the minds of us, and of course she ran into Adore Me. Had she not run into Adore Me, she would have won a Group 1 race.
She won $150,000, so she still did a great job. Went to the New South Wales Derby.
She actually was favourite for the New South Wales Oaks.
Yeah, that's right.
And we got parked outside Frith. That was hilarious.
Yeah, that wouldn't be no lot of fun. Was winning about 20 in a row at that stage.
She's obviously, she was a lovely filly. As I said, if it wasn't for Adore Me, she would have won a Group 1.
So that is lot number 5. There's a colt, lot 22. It's by American Ideal out of a daughter of Black Myrie.
Yeah, wonderful family. Goes back to the Sandy Yardley breed. Of course, they bought the farm off Sandy, and American Ideal's had a magic last 2 years. Considering what's happened with Art Major and Bettor's Delight, they're such athletic horses, the American Ideals. I think, Greg, they're the type of horses now that nobody would say, oh, I'm lukewarm because it's by AI. Basically, American Ideal is now a very proven, very commercial and very viable stallion.
Lot 43, this is an Andover Hall out of Yankee Doozy, and we know the exploits of this family.
Yeah, it's the I Can Do's It family. Obviously one of the great trotting families of recent years, and they keep producing good horses, and most of the horses from the family win races and some win more. And Ken and Karen have gone to some of these really leading American stallions, and if you sold that horse in America or Sweden or France, it would still be good blood. And that's the ultimate compliment you can pay to a trotting bred yearling in this part of the world.
Lot 55 is by Some Beach Somewhere out of Affairs Estate. Now, this is the family of Cha-Ching Cha-Ching and goes back to Undercover Lover.
Well, that's Malcolm Shin's horse, wasn't it? Yeah. So, yeah, very speedy and good quality mare who leaves.
No, his was State of Affairs, actually.
State of Affairs.
This is Affairs of State.
Oh, is it right? Okay. Some Beach Somewhere, as we heard, passed away, unfortunately, but did a super job, and they'll sell well now because people who need those outcross fillies are going to need to get them from somewhere.
That's exactly right. So there's a look through some of the ones from Brecken's. There you go. That's confirmation of what Kim was talking about there. Some close relations to some pretty hot horses there, Mike.
Well, when you see Prince Fearless there, I think Stress Factor, because Prince Fearless was a very good horse and it's gone off the boil, but Stress Factor has come through to revive that family a touch in the last couple of months, and Chandal, of course, has been taking on very good horses in WA, so they've got a nice draft. Lots of people got nice drafts, and all the information is in the catalogues, and they're free.
That's right, you can go to standardbred.co.nz. Yep, they are. You can get a hold of PGG Rights and it'll go online and check out.
Presentation's very good. The horses look fantastic.
What's ahead for you, harness racing wise, this week? Let's get around the country. And Forbury Park, $40,000 pick 6 with fast track insurance, 5:36 start time there. 10 races out of Dunedin, Otaki, and it is the Wellington Trotting Club with Grant Plumbing. 5:03 will be the start time for that, 12k. They kick off at 2:36. $25,000 pick 6, again with fast track insurance. Decent race there, the Group 2 Garrard's Premier Mares Championship, 2 weeks before the Group 1 Standardbred Breeders. We'll talk about that in a moment. 8:26 the start time for that feature there. Geraldine, it is the Hanley Formula Arari Challenge Stakes. That's the feature at $15,349 the start time for that race. 12:23 to kick things off there. Wyndham, a $25,000 pick 6 there on Sunday. Didn't go off on Sunday at the Mont. Well, it might have been more than that anyway. And it is Otaki Cup Day there on Sunday. 12:09 the start time there. Tuesday will be at Rangiora. It's the Amberley meeting. They had about 214 nominations, Michael. And in that field, Bailey's Knight, Star Commander, My Wee Man, the Cup for 20,000. That's a decent race there on Tuesday. Waitangi Day.
Nice.
There you go.
By the way, some big news coming out of the north today that Zach Butcher is leaving the employment of Barry Purdon, where he's been for, I would think, probably 10 years. Most of his driving career. Spoke to both Zach and Barry, and harness racing being full of rumours, people will think there's been some sort of bust up there. Couldn't be more wrong. Happy, they said, look, it's just, Zach's looking at the next phase of his career. He's going to go work at Lincoln Farms for Ray Green, no partnership, he's just going to go work there as as a worker, and he'll be driving some of their horses clearly. Barry said, I'm thrilled for the kid. He said, oh, he's been great here, but Barry probably isn't going to take him into partnership because as Barry gets older, he probably doesn't want to have 30, 35 horses and work later into his life. So he said, Zach will still be driving some of my horses. If the owners want him to, great. He'll be driving Jack's Legend. It's very amicable, and Zach said, look, Barry has been fantastic to my career. I just need to do something different to look further down the track. So they'll still be seeing Zach in Barry's colours, but he just won't be working there in the immediate future. That swap, so he goes from Barry to Lincoln Farms, and he's thrilled with the support that John and Lynn Street and Ray Green are going to give him. Starts April 1, which is April Fool's Day.
All right, thank you, so it's no joke. Thanks for that update there. Southern Bred, Southern Red race night, Addington Raceway on Friday night, and it is McGarrad's Premier Mares. Here's the market for it, Michael. Better Be Amazed, you're keen on her, I know that. $4.50, American Tart the same. I think some Joy, some Hope, and $7.80 would reflect that, and Bonnie Joan has to come from the second row.
This market's wrong.
Okay.
They got it wrong.
Right.
Well, can't you see the glaring anomaly in this market? What's wrong about it? Do you really want to back Bonnie Joan at 2.6 from the second line when two horses at least as good at it as it are 4.5?
Yeah.
That's wrong.
No.
That's wrong. So you at home should get on your account and back the 2 and the 4. Bonnie Joan may beat them, but the market's wrong.
Yep. Hard to argue with you.
Well, there's no point. I get a lot of things wrong, but I'm right about this.
Yep.
It may still win, but there's no chance it'll pay that on the day, night, slash. Oh, wait, no, I'll be here. I'm going to Melbourne. Do you want to come?
Best bet for you? Yeah, I'll probably come there. Yeah.
We're going to Melbourne. Who's doing Addington on Friday night?
We're wiping the slate clean, by the way. Cassie Fahey will be there, and Matt Cross will be calling because Mark Mack's going to Orange.
Oh, it's the young guns. The under 30 group.
Yeah, the future.
I think Better Be Amazed to win. I think 4.5 super money. I'm not saying it's immoral, but 4.5 fixed odds, you should be taking that.
Yeah, and I'll be on
It's an expensive time of year. You know what's an expensive time of year, Gregory? Because Valentine's Day's coming up soon, Gregory.
Right,
and I expect you to buy something nice for KP.
Yeah, I'll probably look into that. That's our best. We'll wipe the slate clean because clearly pre-Christmas I've hammered you. It's game over, lights out.
You know what? My tipping on the first call for the Gallops has been outstanding.
Oh, look, no doubt it has been.
So maybe it's you. I reckon I still blame you for what happened to Vincent.
Yeah. Teal Pant campaign is about to kick off, which is...
it's a big deal.
It is. The ovarian cancer... it's been going in Australia for about 4 or 5 years.
And basically what it is to raise awareness about ovarian cancer. The drivers over there have been driving in Teal Pants. All the females drivers in New Zealand will drive in Teal Pants for around a 6-week period, and some of the big industry players, clubs and harness racing,
New Zealand
and
200,
Woodland Stud,
Woodland's 100,
will donate money for every winner they drive. And Kirsten Barclay said, I'll donate any percentages of my driving fees or my winning drives.
And they've got ambassadors, Nikki Chilcott, Sam Motley and Sheree Tomlinson in the south, so they'll be driving in the colours as well. So I think it's a great initiative.
Of course, it's wonderful.
Looking forward to
You're
getting
engaging with people. This is important stuff. So look, if you get a chance to donate or look at Harness Racing New Zealand's website, has more information on it, but you won't be able to miss them because they'll all be in green, teal coloured pants for about 6 weeks.
What about Saturday night and what's ahead for you? Here's a summation of what is going to unfold. 8 o'clock from Trackside, we'll be over there with the live view, bringing back all the information. We've got Lazarus and Heaven Rocks going around in the Hunter Cup, which New Zealand have had great success in over the years. Other Group 1 the Dullard Trotters Cup has Temporarily and Hey Yo going around in that. And that $100,000 bonus quaddy at Melton. Brought to you by PGG Wrightson and Brecon Farms. The Derby noms are out for Addington. 49 last year, 44 this year, 10 for the All-Stars, but good nominations from Robert Dunn, Cran Dalgetty, Brendan Hill, and a few others there.
AG Hunter Cup, do you know what the A stands for?
No.
Okay. The WS Cox Plate, do you know what the W stands for?
William.
Okay. So there you go. Maybe you can find out when you're at Melbourne.
Okay.
You can look into finding out what it is.
We can
I don't know either.
By the way, Waikiki Beach won first up in America too, just to finish us off.
There you go.
Bit of information for you. All right, that's it from us. Hope you've enjoyed your box seat. See you Saturday night from Melton and again in a week's time.